morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you to Alan, who I've known for many years, but we have recently begun to renew our friendship for this invitation. And my wife, Jenna, is with me this morning. I'm going to begin with a reading that many of you may have heard called Welcome to Holland by Emily Pearl Kingsley. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and make your plans. The Colosseum, Michelangelo's David, the gondolas in Venice. You learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The flight attendant comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean, Holland? I'm supposed to be in Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. You've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting place full of famine and disease. It's just a different place. So you buy new guidebooks, you learn a new language, and you meet a group of people you never would have met. Holland is just a different place. It's slower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills and tulips and Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about the wonderful time they've had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that's where I had planned to go. The pain will never completely go away because the loss of that dream is very real. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you'll never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland. Welcome to Holland describes a location swap. It compares the discovery that your child has special needs to planning a wonderful trip to Italy. But then you find that you've arrived at a less exciting destination, Holland. And apologies, of course, to my Dutch wife, Jenna. Eventually, you learn to appreciate the experience of parenting a child who isn't what you expected, a child who isn't less, but simply different. More broadly, the poem is about accepting the unforeseen places that life takes all of us. You're all familiar with spiritual practices, activities of mind or body that we do regularly and deliberately in order to cultivate certain ways of thinking and acting until they become second nature. These practices include meditation, prayer, yoga, and journaling. Bike riding with my son David is one of my spiritual practices. We live near the Fox River bike path in Dundee. I ride a couple thousand miles each summer, and for 12 years, I've ridden with David every weekend. We did our 20-mile trek yesterday and managed to get home without getting wet. David is disabled. Because of a pre-birth brain injury, he needs 24/7 support. He's not literate or verbal. He doesn't understand decisions, and he needs support with every decision in his life. David lives in a group home and attends a day activity center in Elgin. But I've ridden over 6,000 miles with David on the bike path. I'm learning lots of lessons from this spiritual experience. And what I'd like to do this morning is offer them as a series of very short meditations with some guiding questions for you to think about in terms of your own life. So the first meditation, don't prejudge people. It's a rainy Saturday morning in 2013 when David and I visit the Ability Expo at the Schaumburg Convention Center. We run into Hal, owner of the Bike Rack in St. Charles. Turns out that Hal has a special needs son about David's age, and his store specializes in adaptive bicycles, hand cycles, tricycles, you name it. I tell Hal I want a tandem so that I can ride with David, and he says, nope, David can ride on his own. I say to him, there's no way. I'm not setting David loose on the bike path. And Hal says to me, trust me. He says, I've put hundreds of kids like David on bikes. He said, David will ride alone. And so David tried out a three-wheel recumbent, and a week later we picked one up, and we've logged 6,000 miles together. As David's dad, it's easy for me to see the things that he can't do. He can't tie his shoelaces. He has trouble cutting pancakes. He can't spread peanut butter. But riding has made me see the things he can do that I didn't think possible. And at a deeper level, it's made me aware of the other ways that I prejudge people. Ableism is the attitude of prejudging disabled people. It defines them by their disabilities. It devalues them as inherently imperfect. It creates harmful stereotypes. It doesn't see their talents and strengths, just their deficits and weaknesses. And ableism in that way is like the other prejudices that afflict us: racism, sexism, heterosexism, classism. Philosopher Philip Halley says that ethics is the effort to see and to treat all human lives as equally precious. I love that one sentence. The effort to see and to treat all human lives as equally precious. All human lives are precious, everyone without exception. All human lives are precious, of irreplaceable value. All human lives are equally precious. No one is superior or inferior to others. But as Halley points out, treating everyone as equally precious is an effort, at least it is for me, because sometimes I'm tempted to prejudge people because of their skin color, because of their level of education, because of their physical look, because of their political affiliation. And I know that's wrong. Being aware of how I prejudge David's abilities is making me more aware of how I prejudge other people, and it's helping me be able to push back on those implicit biases that I have. So here's my question for you. How do you prejudge people? And what helps you resist that automatic tendency? I'll give you a moment for silent reflection. The second meditation. Slow down and smell the roses. It's a sunny Saturday, and we're riding along at about 8 miles an hour. That's way slower than I go when I'm alone. But it gives me time to notice things that otherwise escape my attention. For example, how the wildflowers along the bike path change from season to season. A million shades of green in spring, yellow and white in summer, purple and brown in fall. David's slower speed lets me see the turtle crawling in the grass, the heron stalking at the edge of the river, a doe and a fawn hiding in the woods, the red flash of a cardinal. Stopping to smell the roses challenges our busy lives and our achievement-oriented society. Jenna's brother Jerry was an experienced bike rider who was hit and killed at age 53 by a careless driver. Jerry always said that bike riding is a good speed, not too fast and not too slow. And what I'm finding is that riding with David is a good speed. If you ask Jenna, you'd find out I'm a pretty driven personality. I'm type A, I'm go, go, go. I feel like I should be doing more, like I should be better. But riding with David is slowly teaching me to savor the present moment, to find joy and beauty in the small details of life that otherwise we rush past. Riding with David is Sabbath practice. Theologian Stephen Yeager points out that regular rest, reflection, and gratitude allows us to spiritually realign ourselves for a sense of harmony, completeness, and peace. A time to slow down, a reminder that life shouldn't be rushed, that play is as important as work. Riding with David is also Zen practice. At each moment, I have to be aware of everything around us. Helping David navigate fallen branches, other riders, and street intersections is a kind of mindfulness training. And I hope that across my life, it makes me more aware of my emotions, so I don't just act from unconscious habits, but that I'm more deliberate and intentional, less reactive. So another question for you to ponder. What do you do regularly to slow down, to disengage from social media and the political chaos swirling around us? Again, I'll give you a moment for personal reflection. A third meditation. Follow someone else's lead. David is in front of me. A few minutes ago, we were doing 12 miles an hour. Now we've slowed to 6. I'm not sure why, but I've adjusted my speed, shifted my body, stretched my legs. When I ride alone, I'm in charge. I set a pace around 15 miles an hour. But when I ride with David, he usually goes first. Sometimes he tools along, other times he pokes along. David, not me, calls the shots. Jenna will confirm that I'm kind of a control freak. I like things done my way. But following David decenters my agenda. I have to put his wants and needs ahead of my own. Philosopher Iris Murdoch points out that unselfishness is not natural to human beings. In the moral life, she says, the enemy is the fat, relentless ego. Those are strong words, aren't they? The fat, relentless ego. And she says moral virtue comes through a process of unselfing. In every spiritual tradition, developing selfless love is the central moral project. Think of the Buddhist bodhisattva who delays their own personal nirvana in order to help others reach enlightenment. Or think of the self-emptying ethic of Jesus of Nazareth that serves other people at personal cost. Love for others dismantles our preoccupation with ourselves. And that's what riding with David is doing for me. It forces me to put his wants ahead of mine. And that's an attitude that I need across my life. So a third question for you. What helps you unself and move towards others? Take a minute and reflect. A final meditation. Welcome dependency. I'm riding ahead of David. I check my mirror and I see that he's fallen way behind. I stop and turn back and beckon him. Come on. But he doesn't move. So finally I turn around and head back. Then I see the problem. He's pedaling but not moving. Hey, I say, your chain slipped off. I pull on a pair of disposable gloves and slowly work the greasy chain over the drive sprocket. Now we're back in business. It's easy to see David's dependence as a disabled person. He depends on me to fix things on his bike, things he can't do for himself. But I too am dependent. I depend on Jeff and the other mechanics at our local bike store to change gear cassettes and brake cables that I can't do myself. And I love the quote that you began with, Emily, right? Yeah, Emmy. Love is the bridge between you and everything. Archbishop Desmond Tutu explains the concept of Ubuntu. We're all interconnected. We can't exist in isolation. We can't be human all by ourselves. Our society values self-sufficiency. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Don't rely on others. That's a sign of weakness. But riding with David reminds me that we do need each other. Truth is, none of us are self-made. We all depend on support from other people, and other people depend on their connections to us. We're not independent, we're interdependent. Riding with David is slowly teaching me that. It's helping me move beyond the illusion of self-sufficiency, so I'm more comfortable with my own vulnerabilities and my own dependence. And so a final question: how do you depend on other people? How do they depend on you? What helps you recognize your interdependence? One more thing. I've learned from riding with David that being disabled isn't a tragedy, but being ignored and excluded and devalued is. Sure, David's disabilities bring disadvantages and challenges, but that's only part of his life. He's much more than his disabilities. So 2 final stories. We see the dogs as we ride by. 2 black labs tear along the fence, barking loudly. I blow the horn on my bike. The dogs bark louder, of course, and David laughs his head off. Who let the dogs out? I chant. And of course, David laughs even louder. Soon we reach the street that leads to River Bottom Ice Cream in Algonquin. And as we wait at the light, David turns and signs to me, let's call Jenna and get some ice cream. Hey, good idea. So soon we're sitting around a picnic table licking key lime, mocha, and Butterfinger cones. How's the ride? Jenna asked David. Hey, there were chickens on the path, David signs. And the stories continue as we laugh our way through ice cream. It's gonna rain on you guys, Jenna warns as we pull on our riding jackets. Nah, I say, it's just overcast. She shakes her head as we ride off. But of course, I am an idiot. And half a mile from home, the heavens open. But straight ahead is our local fire station. And so we shelter under the front porch. Then the door swings open. A firefighter says, hey, you guys want to come in? You bet. David loves fire trucks, and so we spend the next hour checking out the rigs and chatting with the crew. The downpour ends. That was great, we tell our new friends. And with a big smile, David signs, thank you. Riding with David is full of laughter, surprises, and kindness from strangers. While he's disabled, he has a good life. So that's my story. Riding with David is a spiritual practice. Even in moments of frustration, it gives me a deeper connection to him, to the world around me, and to myself. It's helping me to live more fully, to be more self-reflective and more responsive to others. Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh points out that spiritual practice isn't just sitting and meditating. Practice is looking, thinking, teaching, touching, drinking, and talking. Every act, every breath, and every step can be practice and can help us to become more ourselves. Riding with David does that for me, and I'm grateful for the unexpected gift of landing in Holland, not Italy.